she works with the deaf. I guess we fit the normal pattern. I live in Monopoly, she stays in the alphabet. I'm a long shot, she didn't want an easy bet. No, 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 no.
Hello, it's Barry Greenfield, and welcome to the Baza Studios in Olympic Village, Vancouver, British Columbia. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending when you are listening to this podcast. And this is number 3 in the series of Barry Tales. Meeting Graham Nash in New York City in 2016. This podcast opened with my song Manhattan, a song from my Nashville Exposed Soul LP that talks about New York. And I believe that song captures the energy of the trip that I made 7 years ago. A pilgrimage to watch Graham Nash and Shane Fontayne in concert in Tarrytown, New York, where I was fortunate to meet with Graham and have a lovely, intimate 15-20-minute chat. So let's begin the tale where it begins, with my relationship with Graham's musical partner of the last 8 years, Shane Fontayne. Shane is a much respected lead guitar player. British born from London, within the sound of the Cockney Bells, he tells me, but has lived in California for the last 2 decades and worked with many, many bands. His resume is impressive, to say the least. He spent 3 years with the E Street Band, playing lead guitar with Springsteen. He's been in Crosby, Stills and Nash for a decade or longer, and Crosby, Stills and Nash and Young, and was the lead guitar player of Lone Justice, and the list is almost unending how many great players Shane has played with. Paul McCartney is, to name one, and others. I always enjoy collaborating, and when I find a talented partner that is open to it, it's a blessing. And my friendship with Shane, as mentioned, has lasted for 7 years, and we've written together and recorded together and built a friendship. Early one Sunday morning, my phone rang, and it was Shane, and we both rise with the rooster, and he asked me if I'd like to come to Tarrytown, New York, a small village, might not be the right word, but it felt like a village when I was there, in southern New York State. Shane's thinking was we had never met, even though we felt close and connected through our music that we had made together, but we could spend a delightful day in a small town in New York State, hang together, and maybe further the friendship and go deeper, with the cherry on the cake being a concert with him and Graham Nash at the Tarrytown Music Hall, which was an historic site. And Shane and Graham Nash had played there previously, the year before, and Shane went on and on about how wonderful a theater it was. And I said, well, why not? So I booked the red eye to New York on Cathay Pacific for October the 4th, 2016, and this new adventure had begun. I was very excited to see Graham Nash in concert. Once upon a time, I sat in row 2 at the Vancouver Orpheum at an acoustic Crosby, Stills and Nash show. Unfortunately, that show was flat. It was disappointing. It was sad. Stephen Stills was drunk. He drank Southern Comfort on stage. He was out of tune too often. And Crosby was sloppy, I imagine wasted. Nash just seemed uncomfortable, angry, and wishing he wasn't there, much like I felt. It was a mess. In a way of background to my relationship musically with Graham Nash, I have a hierarchy of artists, and this hierarchy motivate me, inspire me, teach me, and mentor me as a songwriter. And it hasn't really changed since I was a kid, the people that inspire me that way, because you connect with the songwriter or musician or you don't. So this has sort of remained the same since my early days in Manchester. Number one is George Harrison. Number two is Paul McCartney. Number three is the brilliant John Lennon. Number four on this list is Graham Nash. I've always thought he was a very, very talented singer, songwriter, and a lovely human being. To complete the top 10, Dylan is 5, then Joni Mitchell, the wonderful lyrics of Hal David, the amazing depth of Cole Porter's music, which always inspires me, and my favorite American band is Steely Dan. I think that they are just stellar. Never a weak moment with Steely Dan for me. All of their LPs just resonate with me, especially like Pretzel Logic and Katy Lied. More so than the jazzy Aja and Gaucho, but brilliant songwriting. And complete the list, number 10, is the wonderful Carole King, who has so much to say about life in her songs. They're an eclectic group for sure, but they all have a commercial bent, and Graham Nash is no exception. He sits comfortably in fourth place. I've always been motivated by the Hollies. I discovered them when I was 13 living in Manchester, and they were equal to the Beatles back then for me with I'm Alive and Stay and Look Through Any Window. I love his songwriting. I think his harmony singing is second to none. And as I said earlier, he seems to be a very good bloke. So there I was, landing at sunrise at Kennedy Airport, the famous JFK. Wow, New York, here I come. It was a dry, chilly day, noisy, lots of traffic, lots of hustle. It was New York. I paid a $55 flat-free ride into Manhattan and said to the cabbie, Grand Central Station, please. That's where the train left for Tarrytown, and that's where I began my journey because I wanted to know where it was. But I had 2 hours to kill, and I thought, I'll go get myself a coffee. So I started walking, and within a few minutes, I found a Manhattan Starbucks. I ordered an Americano, a banana bread, just like I would have in Kitsilano, and started thinking about my song, New York is Closed Tonight, which I suppose is predictable, being in New York and being the heart of New York in Manhattan. And I started to think how my song had a rebirth in 2001 with the tragic events of 9/11, and how the lyric got linked to the day and the disaster that 9/11 became. To this day, when I play the song in concert, I'm bewildered how the lyric talks so clearly to me, and I guess to others in the audience, about that tragic day in New York. The song was actually written in 1969 when I was 18, and had a rebirth in 2001. So let me play you the song and a video that I made about how the song lyric fits with 9/11. I warn you that the images are graphic in this video, and New York is Closed Tonight.
We have unconfirmed reports this morning that a plane has crashed into one of the towers of the World Trade Center. The CNN Center right now is just beginning to work on this story, obviously calling our sources and trying to figure out exactly what happened, but clearly something devastating happening this morning.
My eyes are hurting badly. I'm breathing through my nose. My white shirt is turning gray. I should wear plastic clothes. It's getting dark so early, long before it's night, and the neon freeway sign said New York's closed. New York's closed tonight. Breathing's getting harder as I walk through the park. The trees are brown and dingy, and no one demonstrations through. Everything is lost. There's nothing we can do. We told you long ago your solution wasn't right. And today the Pittsburgh Herald read New York's closed. New York's closed tonight. It's closed. It's closed. New York's closed tonight. It's closed. It's closed. Oh, it's closed tonight.
Starbucks in many cities and towns in the world, Strasbourg, London, Paris, Nashville, but this Starbucks visit was unique. It was something else. So let me tell you what happened to me that morning in Manhattan in Starbucks at 7:30 a.m. I walk in, I pay cash for the coffee and the banana bread, and I head up the spiral staircase to the mezzanine. I find a seat, I take off my knapsack, put it on the seat next to me. The place was probably 30% full, and I sit down next to a friendly-looking New York grandmother. Within seconds, I hear this verbal altercation, a loud shouting match taking place on the floor below. Screams, you MFer, you MFer, I'm going to get you, I'm going to get you. And it's a male voice, and there's a woman replying, screaming as loudly as him, and the language was as equally foul, aggressive, and scary. The tone was violent and certainly not a fit for an early morning Starbucks coffee, or actually any time. And here I am in New York City, the Big Apple, and I'm getting a little bit anxious. I didn't even touch my coffee. I just stood up, went to grab my knapsack when my female neighbor says, in a very hushed tone, "Sit down. Don't you be going down there. He may have a gun." A gun. Yikes. I sat down. Waited maybe, 10 seconds maximum, just thinking what to do. I decided flight. I jumped up. I ignored her request. I grabbed my knapsack, and I flew down the stairs and out the door. I kept walking, didn't look back. I have no idea how that incident ended, but I wanted to be out. I walked briskly, and all of a sudden I found myself in front of St. Patrick's Cathedral, which was maybe a block away. It was peaceful, safe, and I gathered my thoughts as I walked through the big doors into this wonderful, quiet place. Closed my eyes, sat in a pew, and got recentered. Laurie and I did that same meditation in Notre Dame, and we've done it probably 3 times on our 3 visits to Paris. Now, Notre Dame is a super, super special place. I'm not saying that St. Patrick's Cathedral in Manhattan is its equal, but it certainly was a wonderful cathedral, and I've always had an attraction to the peace and beauty of those buildings. I'm thinking of the one in York in England that I spent probably 2 hours in. I'm thinking of the one in Kitsilano. I'm thinking of the one on Broad Street. I'm thinking of the Georgia Street Cathedral, but the European cathedrals, of course, are much older, and the architecture is mind-blowing, and the energy is peaceful. So I sat in St. Patrick's probably 15 minutes. And I was very tired, because one always is after red eye, but I was awake and my heart was racing. I think I'll insert a song now, because I've been asked by people who have heard the other two podcasts to do more music. And this is a song from the new LP, the new Graceful LP that I'm going to release next week. And it's a song I wrote called Slow Down. And that's what I had to do after the incident in Starbucks and after the red eye. I needed to slow down, gather my thoughts, recenter, get my feet on the floor, and maybe the song explains it better than my talking. Slow Down from Graceful, on acoustic guitar, recorded in my home studio in the chair I'm sitting in right now. Slow down, take your time. Slow down, don't try to touch the sun. Breathe deep, walk slow, don't run. Soon be time to sleep. You know that I know when time goes slow, you grow. Take your time. Slow down, slow down, slow down. Smile more, say adios, sweet sorrow. Laugh more, listen better. Prepare for the day that is tomorrow. Reach out, reach in. You know that I know when time moves slow, you grow. Take your time. Go slow like you're moonwalking. True love grows best slow courting. Dance like a wave rolls to the shore. Always play in a revolving door. Stand still when you listen to the whippoorwill. Go slow, making angels in the fresh snow. Slow down, or you may fall down. I recommend as a friend that you slow down. Am I preaching to the choir? Am I leaking air like a tire? Slow down. Slow down, slow down, slow down, slow down, slow down, please. Leaving St. Patrick's Cathedral, I walked about 10 minutes to Grand Central Station, which was a tourist mind blower, as everything was in New York. Whenever you looked around, you saw iconic things, and Grand Central Station was no exception. Reminded me of all the Grand Central Station scenes that I'd witnessed in films, especially The Untouchables, as I was walking down the stairs where the pram was pushed. And it was so interesting lit with the sunlight coming in through the skylights and stuff. It was a fascinating place, and it was hustling and bustling with people heading to and from work, the hub being Grand Central Station. The train ride took 45 minutes. It had 4 stops. People got on, people got off. I looked, I studied, I do what I do. I people watch, and tree watch, and building watch, and farm watch. And there I was in central southern New York State in Tarrytown. A brief cab ride to the Sheraton, showered, ordered room service, then slipped into bed for a 2-hour nap. And at noon, the phone rang. It was Shane, saying that their tour bus would arrive at the hotel at 1 p.m. and let's meet at the coffee shop at 2. So going down to the coffee shop, Shane and I spent 3 hours just exchanging our lives, really. It was like a really close musical bond that we had with our musical history, but we also were similar people in that we were both family people. We both loved our children. I told him all about McCartney, Andrea, Melissa. I told him all about my strong marriage and how important that was to me with Laurie, and he did the same. He told me about his wife Maria, about his son Shane, and his history, which had some interesting moments. And then we talked to him about music. He shared about his 3 years with Bruce Springsteen, and that was really interesting, and how he had been the leader of the band at the Kennedy Street Awards, honoring Paul McCartney, and how wonderful that was. And the time that he played with the Kennedy Street Honors for Led Zeppelin. And if you want to see Shane play, go to YouTube and Google Heart singing Stairway to Heaven at the Kennedy Center Awards honoring Led Zeppelin. And it's a 6-minute video of the band doing Stairway to Heaven, Shane's band, fronted by Ann and Nancy Wilson. And the camera pans to Barack and Michelle Obama nodding their heads like true rock and rollers. And of course, then pans to Paige Plant and John Paul Jones, who were, I guess, overwhelmed by this 1-hour set of Zeppelin hits done by hugely talented players. And Shane plays the solo to Stairway to Heaven. This is the encore song of the set, or the final song of the set. And I asked Shane what it was like playing the lead solo, the infamous, iconic lead solo to Stairway to Heaven in front of its creator, Jimmy Page. And Shane said, well, I gave it a lot of thought before I did it, and what I decided to do was to do the opening 16 bars exactly the same as Page, and then do a different solo. And that's what he did. And after the show, Page came backstage and told him he did it well. That was a big moment for Shane. Okay, well, we had our 3-hour coffee at the Sheraton, and it was now time for Shane to go to the sound check. Excuse me. And I went directly to my seat in the Tarrytown Theater. The road manager, Dave, had provided me with a great third-row seat and 2 laminates, which allowed me all access, and it's 20 minutes till showtime. And so I sat down, and eventually out walked Graham Nash and Shane. It was just fabulous to see Graham Nash and hear him sing his hits. They sang only hits, all the famous songs. Nash played piano, he played acoustic guitar, and Shane played maybe 8 or 10 different guitars, mandolins, 12 strings, electric, acoustics, and just varied the sound for each song. And he was just excellent, a perfect shadow man. The harmony singing was lovely. They played Cathedral, Military Madness, Our House, Simple Man. It was all flawless. It was beautiful. Then came the intermission. So I decided to stay in my seat and sort of look around the room. I figured it held about 1,200. It was about 80% full. And it was a beautiful 100-year-old auditorium, a soft cedar. It was lovely. I just sat in my seat thinking about the set I just witnessed and loved. And I was not disappointed at all, and felt payback for what I had seen at the Orpheum so many years earlier with Crosby, Stills, and Nash. This show was good. Then out came Dave, the road manager, and he was running to me like a bullet from a well-known gun. He was aimed straight at me, and I was looking at him running up the hall, and I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Well, why aren't you backstage?" And I said, "What?" And he said, "Graham's waiting for you." And I said, I didn't know. I don't like going backstage. I get nervous. He said, "Well, come on, you're coming." And I stood up and went backstage, which I would never have thought of doing, even though I had the laminates to do it, which is probably why they gave me the laminates. And I got up, I went with Dave, we walked through the 2 doors to a vintage backstage and Graham Nash. Now, Graham was born in 1942, so he was 75. He looked super healthy, lean, casual, kind, smiling, and a thick head of gray hair. "Hello, Barry," Graham said in his Mancunian voice. "Thank you so much for flying from the West Coast. Shane told me all about you. We talked about the Hollies, their big 1964 hit, Bus Stop, in great detail, which is a Graham Gouldman song. And Graham, of course, is my dear partner for 50 years, and we've done lots of music together. And Nash told me the story of how he went to Gouldman's parents' house to hear Bus Stop, and he also played him Look Through Any Window and No Milk Today. And I knew that home well. I had spent many nights and days there. It was my family home when I lived in Manchester. Graham's parents became my surrogate parents because my family were in Zimbabwe. He asked me about my music and told me that Shane had played him a version of She Loves You that I had done, and that he thought the arrangement was unique and clever, and wanted to know what made me think about doing it that way. And I told him that I'd done it really early in the 70s, and that I had played it at a Supertramp concert when I was doing sound check, and that Roger Hodgson from Supertramp had come out of the wings and also complimented me on the arrangement. So without further ado, I'm going to actually insert that here because I'm very connected to this arrangement of She Loves You, because I'm very connected to the Beatles, and I always think that their lyrics were lost in this song. People hear the She Loves You and the yeah, but they don't, I'm sure, maybe they do, but some don't pay attention to this wonderful John Lennon, Paul McCartney lyric about a third-party relationship, and you better wake up, man, because she loves you. So this is my version of She Loves You, recorded in Nashville. This is take 5. It was just piano and voice, and then we added strings and Hammond organ, and did it all live. She Loves You by John Lennon and Paul McCartney.
Think you've lost your love? Well, I saw her yesterday. It's you she's thinking of, and she told me what to say. She loves you, and you know that can't be bad. She loves you, and you know you should
be glad. She said you hurt her so. She almost lost her mind, but now she says she knows you're not the hurting kind. She loves you, and you know that can't be bad. She loves you, and you know you should be glad. She loves you. She loves you. And with a love like that, you know you should be glad. And now it's up to you. I think it's only fair. Pride can hurt you too. Apologize to her. She loves you, and you know that can't be bad. She loves you, and you know you should be glad. She loves you. She loves you. She loves you. She loves you. And with a love like that, you know you should be glad. With a love like that, you know you should be glad.
My conversation with Graham Nash was probably 15, maybe 20 minutes, but it felt longer. It was just wonderful, and we talked about songwriting and how important it was to us, and the parallels came through. We certainly talked about the Hollies and how important they were to me in my youth, and it was 15 minutes or 20 minutes of intense male bonding. And then a weird thing happened. Nash called over Dave, the road manager, and said, Dave, get the sound tech and lighting tech to come into this room, and I want to tell him something. So the sound tech and the lighting tech, both Londoners, came in and nervously looked at Nash, the boss, and Graham told him that he was changing song number 1 of set 2, and that he would not be doing the original planned song, but was going to be doing Bus Stop for Barry. This is Barry. They both shook my hand, and my mouth is, again, agape. And he told him that Barry had come all the way from Vancouver for this gig, and make the changes necessary so when he walked out for set 2, him and Shane could perform Bus Stop. Graham then left to get ready for the set, and I spent about 5 minutes with his fiancée, who is now his wife, a fabulous New York photographer, Amy Grantham, and we talked a great deal about Linda McCartney, and it was a lovely visit. And then back to the seat for set 2. And Nash walks out with Shane to wild applause. The crowd just loved the first set, and we were eager for the second set to begin. And Nash goes to the microphone and says that I would like to welcome a special guest. And he said the well-known Canadian songwriter Barry Greenfield is here tonight, and he's flown from Vancouver for the show, and that he was going to dedicate Bus Stop to Barry tonight. And the crowd went nuts because they wanted to hear Bus Stop. And he played Bus Stop, and him and Shane killed it. I mean, it was wonderful to hear his voice on Bus Stop Wet Day. She's there, I say, please share my umbrella. So I don't know. I'm going to record it, and I'm going to stick it here. This is my home version of Bus Stop to make this podcast more musical. Enjoy.
Bus stop, wet day, she's there, I say, please share my umbrella. Bus stop, bus goes, she stays, love grows under my umbrella. All that summer we enjoyed it, wind and rain and shine. That umbrella, we employed it, by August she was mine. Every morning I would see her waiting at the stop. Sometimes she'd shop and she would show me what she bought. Other people stared as if we were both quite insane. Someday my name and hers are gonna be the same. That's the way the whole thing started. Silly, but it's true. Thinking of a sweet romance beginning in a queue. Came the sun, the ice was melting. No more sheltering now. Nice to think that that umbrella led me to a vow.
Well, I know that was rough, but that's basically what I sound like in my living room. And well, back to the podcast. The second set mirrored the first. Lots of well-known songs. He did Woodstock. He also visited Neil Young's Ohio, which I guess means a lot to him, because he also nailed it. And he did 2 songs from his new LP, that recently released This Path Tonight, and that was great. And then the show ended with his encore song, which I think is always his encore song, Teach Your Children, which the crowd sang along with, knew every word, of course. And then said good night and goodbye and thanks for coming, like people do at the end of their shows. And I just sat there and just drank it in and just was so happy I'd made the decision to come to Tarrytown. Shane and I met outside the theater after the show, and we decided to go to a Tarrytown bar that Shane knew from his last visit to Tarrytown, and he bought me a farewell brandy. We talked about the set in great detail. Shane was interested in feedback. We all are when we do a show. When people tell us the truth of what were the strong moments and what maybe not were the strong moments, some of the weaker moments, it's not that you buy everything people say, but it's good to get opinion from people who tell you. And I had nothing really negative to say about the show. I just had great things to say about the song selection, Graham's singing, and especially Shane's guitar playing. I thought his touches were wonderful. He was certainly in the background. He was certainly a shadow to Graham, but it was the right place to be. It was a Graham Nash show. It wasn't Crosby and Nash, like Fontayne and Nash. It was Graham Nash. And Shane played his role perfectly. Said goodbye to Shane. Shane went back to the tour bus at midnight, and I had a 20-minute stroll through the sleepy Tarrytown streets back to the Sheraton. I was walking on a cloud. I just love living music, and Tarrytown and was a gift to me. My night with sort of a musical hero, Graham Nash, was amazing, insightful, educational, motivating. I watched him do a show with confidence, love, and emotion, which are the 3 things that I want to get through. And as I said, Shane was the perfect partner, staying in the shadows, but amazingly helpful. It was just wonderful to watch 2 professionals. It was a long 24 hours for me, but so worth it. And as Stevie Winwood said, when you see the chance, take it. And I did. Anyway, so there we go, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. That's my podcast, number 3, Graham Nash and Shane Fontayne in Tarrytown, New York, October the 5th, 2016. So good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good day, depending what time of day you're listening. And I will be back with number 4 podcast soon. And I'd love your feedback, podcast suggestions, or a story about your life in music. I'd love to speak to you. My email is barrygreenfield@shaw.ca. I leave you with a song and a video that, again, is from my new LP, Graceful, which is coming out next week. This is the title track, Grace, and this is the track that I sing with my best friend, wonderful wife, Lori, my musical partner, and this is how we do it in our concert. Singing with Lori, again, is a treat for me. I'd love to see you at the concert. I'll put a poster on at the end of this podcast. It's November the 17th in the evening, and it's a beautiful Roundhouse, the best sound room in Vancouver, and Friday night. And tickets are available at my website, www.barrygreenfieldmusic.com. Sorry for the salesmanship, but I think one has to take advantage of promoting a show when you don't have a machine to help. All I have is me and my partner, Steve Holbrook, to get this thing off the ground, and believe me, it's not easy. I love sharing my life of music with you through these podcasts, and will continue to do so. So take care, and goodbye, and thank you for listening. Here is the song Grace from the LP Graceful.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace that fear relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed.
When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. And in my hours of darkness, there is still a light that shines on me. Shine until tomorrow, let it be.
Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be.
Whisper words of wisdom, let it be. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but